Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 96, and we're still on the march to 100, getting ever closer, and we do have a ton of surprises in store come that time, and I don't think you guys are going to be ready, but we still got stuff to take care of, though, before we get to that point, which means I got to bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself. Craig, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. This is it's a fantastic start to the month of March, and had a lot of fun last weekend in Lakeland with the spring training home opener for the Detroit Tigers. A lot of fun, took the family, but yeah, we're ready. We're happy to be back and happy to be talking sports with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely saw some of those pictures, man. It looked like a really good time that you had. Sad that I got to miss it, but hey, someone has to keep everything going around here, right? But at the end of the day, we're glad you had a good time. But man, we got to talk some sports today because there's a lot to talk about. But before we can even do that, you got to make sure to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. That way you can keep up with all the latest and greatest that we're posting. And we have all kinds of stuff that we're posting: sports history, some great memes, awesome stories. And you know what? We found out, and I think we're getting pretty good at this. We're usually one of the first ones to post breaking stories. So if you're worried about that breaking story and knowing what's coming up, hey, keep that pulse right on Final Score and you'll find it. So definitely make sure to do that. But we do got to jump into some NFL news because it's been kind of a crazy offseason already. And I think one of the biggest things people have been talking about, especially this last week, because when you sourced yourself, I mean, you can't argue with it. And, of course, I am talking about J.J. Watt signing with the Arizona Cardinals, which honestly was a huge move. A lot of people really surprised by this. What are your thoughts on it?
This is a really interesting move for him, and it's not necessarily it's not the top that a lot of people were thinking. A lot of talk around it might be Green Bay because he's from the Wisconsin area, and of course Pittsburgh, where both of his brothers play. That was really the big move that everyone thought he was going to do, and I love how he did it. And he just posted. He's like, the caption of his picture was "Source Me," and it's just a picture of him wearing a Cardinals shirt. But really, Kyler Murray and the let's say the foundation that team has already begun to lay. That's really what seems to be the decision of why he decided to go to Arizona. And now, in my opinion, a loaded NFC West, a absolutely loaded NFC West. But putting him on that defense across from Chandler Jones and other guys on that defense, now you're getting a guy in J.J. Watt who he's not he's 31 years old. He's not necessarily as productive as he was a few years ago, but he doesn't have to be the number one guy now. In Houston, he's the only guy on that defensive line that can do anything and can make an impact. So now he's getting double team, triple team all the time, even though he's not 100%. You put him in a defense that has other people that can disrupt the offense. Now he doesn't have to be the focal point. Now he doesn't have to be the double, triple team guy. Now you'll actually probably see his production go way up. He joins DeAndre Hopkins again, a guy who he's been on good terms with his whole career. And that team already took a step forward this year. I believe they will take another step forward in that division this year.
Absolutely, especially when you look at the fact of who he's being able to get teamed up with. Like you said, he doesn't have to be the entire team. He doesn't have to be the whole defense anymore, and that is going to be a huge change of pace, I feel like, for him, because he's not saying that he's going to take plays off, but he knows he's not going to have to be the one to have to be Superman every single freaking play. And especially when you look at who they're able to pair him up with, especially with Chandler Jones being on the other end of that defensive line, this could prove to be one of the most devastating defensive end tandems that we see in the NFL. Both these guys have accounted for more sacks than anybody over the last 9 years alone. So it's just amazing to see this come together for Arizona, because Arizona is they're still developing that air raid offense with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, and they're starting to make progress. DeAndre Hopkins, a huge addition to that. And now you see J.J. Watt coming over to help kind of round out that defensive line. I think this is a great move. And a lot of people are saying, why Arizona? Hey, man, they're playing a dome. It doesn't matter how hot or cold or whatever happens. They're in a dome. Like, can you beat dome play? So, you got to think about that with this too. And honestly, 2 years, $31 million is not bad, especially with how much of it is guaranteed. Real quick, though, I want to give a shout out to our great listeners in the chat, Joseph, Jimmy, and Forrest and Nystrom. We thank you guys so much for watching the stream. Definitely try and keep pumping them comments in there. We love interacting with you guys. So a lot of great stuff going on, but it's I'm not surprised by the move at all. And I honestly could see Arizona, and a lot of people have been crapping on this, I could see Arizona actually possibly being a contender.
Yeah, looking at the other teams in that division, we haven't, we're going to do this closer to the season after all the moves have kind of come out, but just kind of looking at how this division has really kind of just fallen early in the NFL offseason. You got to imagine the Rams are still going to probably be at the top. The Seahawks have a lot of internal issues going on. You don't even know if Russ Wilson's going to be there next year. There's a lot of turmoil going on there. You got to imagine they're going to take a few steps back. They haven't really done anything to help. To help Russ Wilson at all. So there's a possibility he could be gone. Mm-hmm. San Francisco, yeah, they were hurt a lot last year, but they still have a big quarterback issue. And if you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, doesn't matter how good your running game is, how good your defense is, it will carry you only so far.
Oh, absolutely.
So to me, I think the Arizona Cardinals, even with this move, not just the one move, but just with the expected natural progression of their young players and bringing in a guy like J.J. Watt to help be a leader in that locker room, I see the Cardinals vying, maybe not winning the division, but vying for that second and maybe even first spot in the NFC West.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely can see it. They're going to come out and be like, and honestly, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, because you think about it, like you said, look at the moves they've been making. This isn't just one move. This has been a series of moves. This has been a culture change. This has been a whole change of how this team approaches their day-to-day operations even. So it's been great to see the maturation of Cliff Kingsbury as a NFL head coach, of Kyler Murray being able to come in and not just be like these Lamar Jackson types. And nothing against Lamar Jackson. He's still a great player, but he's not a guy that's going to be able to bomb it on you every game. He's going to be a very big mix of run pass. But I feel like with Kyler Murray, you get more of that arm. You get more of a dynamic offense, and that guy can make the throw. So, I mean, and now you got DeAndre Hopkins, who can just, go up and, I saw a meme, and I really wish I would have gotten it for the show today. It's one now that I wish I would have gotten. And it literally was DeAndre Hopkins when he caught that ball over all the Buffalo Bills, and he caught.
And it was about J.J. Watt.
J.J. Watt.
Yeah, well, if the Cardinals' progression over the last year is any indication, this team should not surprise anybody this year. This team should not come out of nowhere in anybody's eyes. If someone is surprised at the Arizona Cardinals, if they do well, if someone's surprised by that, you probably haven't been watching football for the last couple of years, because that team, they're been taking steps forward, and now other guys, you're noticing other veteran guys want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And Kyler Murray is a big reason why that J.J. Watt decided to play in Arizona.
Absolutely. So, and you got to think, who wouldn't want to be teamed up with a good young quarterback? And for J.J. Watt's credit, he tried that in Houston, and then the franchise decided that they were kind of just going to crap on the situation. And now he literally had told Deshaun Watson, I'm sorry, I feel that we are wasting, the best years of your career. And he wants to play with a young quarterback. I think maybe that's what excites J.J. Watt, is just the possibilities. So I think he's definitely going to get his shot. And, hey, hats off to him, man. Good luck. It's going to be awesome in Arizona, I think, for you. So We'll see. But someone else, though, who might be having some issues right now might be quarterback Sam Darnold, because things are getting a little interesting there with the New York Jets GM Joe Douglas saying that they're basically are open to offers for Sam Darnold, even though they're downplaying the idea of trying to trade him. So, I mean, what do you make of this situation?
I feel bad for Sam Darnold because all the hype that came in about him from his draft class and how good of a quarterback he was going to be, but he went to the Jets. And the Jets, say what you will, they cannot, they're like the Detroit Lions. They cannot establish a culture to save their life, to save their franchise. That franchise has been in the dumps for a number of years because they're not taking necessary steps to get the right people in place. And yeah, you can't know that ahead of time. But they're making just one snowball bonehead move after another, and that's why it continues to compound. I honestly, for Sam Darnold's sake, I hope that he does get traded. I hope he goes somewhere else. Because if I were him, I wouldn't want to deal with the Jets BS anymore. I wouldn't want to deal with the Jets going, well, we're going to keep Adam Gase. Well, look at all the players that have left Adam Gase's system and now have flourished. You can look at Kenyon Drake, Ryan Tannehill. I'm forgetting a few others, but those are the big ones.
Absolutely.
Look at those guys. I really hope for Sam Darnold's sake that he goes somewhere that actually has not even a team. I'm talking a front office that will actually build around him, because he's still got it. Like, there's people that are already calling him a bust. When you have the type of supporting cast that he has had over the last couple of years, he hasn't had a consistency in a head coach, offensive coordinator, offensive line, receivers, anything. No consistency. Dan Orlovsky, I love listening to his commentary and following him on Twitter and hearing just and how he approaches the game from a quarterback's perspective. He laid it out very, very beautifully. And he put all that down, and he put all the rankings of the supporting cast he had and how many coaches and coordinators he's had in his short tenure. And he goes, find me a quarterback that can actually succeed with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what like, I would love to see. I'm still high on Sam Darnold. I still think that he has the potential to be, maybe not, I never thought he could be like that type of guy that he was hyped to be coming in the draft, because they always need somebody they need to hype up. Trevor Lawrence is the guy this year. Yes. They're hyping him as like the next like biggest the next Pat Mahomes type guy, like as far as star attraction level. They got to do it every year. They do it for box office draw, and I understand why the media does it. It's wrong, but they do it, and we know that. But I still think Sam Darnold has the potential to be a very, very good quarterback in the NFL. He just needs some consistency. That's it.
He also needs kind of more of a team around him, too, of people that actually want to be there, not just be there for paydays.
Consistency.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. You know, Adam Gase was never going to be the guy, I feel like, to turn around that franchise. So maybe they can find that in their new head coach. I don't know. I mean, the guy's a great defensive mind. We'll see, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I feel bad for Sam Darnold because I feel like no matter what, the offense is not going to be predicated necessarily for him. They're just going to kind of probably piece together what they can, because this is going to be a defensive-minded team. The Jets have always kind of been a defensive-minded organization for the past couple decades. So I will say this. If this team decides, I don't even know if they can do it, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head. If one team goes in on Sam Darnold in some way, shape, or form, and I think they will massively take a big step ahead, the Minnesota Vikings. Ooh, I don't see that happening just because they already reaffirmed to Kirk Cousins.
Right, but what I'm saying is that's the type of team, like if I'm thinking they got a really strong running back, they've got a decent offensive line, they've got receivers there, and their defense, it's taken a few steps back, but it's still like they have an organization that's at least committed to succeeding. Maybe not winning championships yet, but they're like, if he would go to a team like Minnesota or a team that's got a strong running game or at least a decent supporting cast, I think he can take a massive step forward.
Oh, I
Hell,
agree.
even throw him on. I've heard the Denver Broncos thrown out a few times. Like that would be a great organization too. I would love to see Sam Darnold go to the Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah, that definitely would be interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, that really just piqued my interest because I think that would be really good for Denver and Sam Darnold. But until something actually happens, I feel like we're just gonna keep playing this back and forth. Oh, we might trade him, but we really don't want to trade him. But it could happen. But we're gonna stick to him. But he is our star player, but he's not really our star player. It's just back and forth game that the Jets are playing right now, and I feel like we've seen a lot of franchises even play this game, like the Eagles, for instance, being like, oh, we'd like to have, Carson Wentz, but he wants to get traded. So here we are. But at least with New York, or even Deshaun Watson, or with that whole situation, Houston has stuck to their guns that they don't want to trade him, but they're looking down the barrel that they're probably going to have to trade him. Russell Wilson and that whole situation going on in Seattle is a whole nother example. So you look at this is becoming a trend now, it seems, with quarterbacks and franchises to have this like contentious back and forth kind of battle with these types of issues. Sam Darnold obviously is not the one like really asking for this, though. That is one caveat prior to the rest of the situations. All these other quarterbacks were asking for trades. He's not. But now they're talking about possibly making the move anyway. So we'll see. Hopefully, I wish the best for Sam Darnold. You don't get crapped on like Josh Rosen, and maybe actually have a nice career one day.
God, what kind of a story is Josh Rosen? I loved watching him in college. I know he's a little bit of a head case, but he had some strong quarterback potential, and he just went like literally off the edge of a cliff, and now he's like not even on a roster.
Yeah, definitely
that
not.
I know of.
No, I don't. I mean, is he still with Miami? I think maybe. I'm not even sure.
No, I think he went to like San Francisco.
See, and that's sad because he's only been in the league a couple of years, and it's crazy. Yes, he's currently with the San Francisco 49ers, which there was even news today that the Pats might make a push for Jimmy G, so maybe that'll work out for him. Who knows? But it's I just feel bad for these quarterbacks, man. I can't even do it.
It's literally
let's talk.
We talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. This league and the way that the media and the fan bases have done this is they push this in a direction. It's not even what have you done for me lately? It's what are you doing for me right now, today, this second. And if you're not doing what you need to, we're going to move on. We're going to call you a bust. We're going to move on. We're going to cut you. We're going to do whatever. And it's really hurt a lot of guys. It's really hurt a lot of guys' growth and potential because they're literally like, the NFL has turned into the TikTok of sports. It's literally turned into the TikTok of sports. Are you hot right now? Cool. We're gonna push you and we're gonna do this. If you're not hot right now, like you're already forgotten about.
Oh, that was a beautiful way to put that. We just gotta. It's just too good, man. It's too good, but you're right. And we've seen that window of you better win or you're gone mentality. We've seen the window of time shrink and shrink and shrink over the past few decades where it's like, oh, you have about the end of your rookie deal. And then, oh, you have maybe it's halfway through that. And then it's like, if you don't win this year, you're gone, bro. Like you get one shot. And it's like, bro, come on. Like you're getting a lot of these players that are still transitioning to the NFL. And some guys sadly just don't bud until later on in their careers either. So it's like some of these guys I feel like do get kind of the shaft.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know if we have time to talk about this on the show.
We really don't.
But the franchise tag deadline comes up Tuesday. And I know we talked about this last week about guys that could get franchised. And you just brought to my mind Dak Prescott, again, probably going to get franchise tagged and no long-term deal in place.
Yeah, I feel bad for that guy overall now. I have
talked about this multiple times. Jerry Jones is literally looking for it. He doesn't want to commit to Dak Prescott. As much as he says he does, he clearly does not.
Oh, yeah, and real quick, Jimmy saying in the chat, there's too much doom and gloom. Every 0-2 start is the end of the world. So,
100%.
100%, man, 100%.
Two games, yeah, even like 2 or 3 games. It used to take like 5 or 6 games, like get through the first quarter of the season, and then you'll start like seeing who's on the hot seat. It's literally after 0-2, 0-3 starts, they're like, fire the coach, fire this guy, fire that guy, change a quarterback. Especially with young QBs, they have to take their bumps and bruises. They have to get better. How else are you going to get better? The only way to succeed is to continue to fail until you figure out how to succeed.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Amen.
So it's really that easy, man. You hit it on the head. But, let's talk about from this sad kind of subject. Let's talk about a quarterback who's getting a shot who, I don't know if he deserves it or not, but hey, he's getting another shot, and that's quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who just signed a contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, taking reduced money, going from $19 million down to $14 million to try and help open up some cap space. They also moved some of that money, which is interesting. I don't think I've actually seen this in the NFL before, where they're moving some of the money, though, to be paid out in 2022 to hit against that cap, whether he's under contract or not, to help offset enough of that money to be able to open up even more cap space, because now the Steelers have opened up $15 million total by doing this move. So definitely a very interesting move. I think good for both parties, man. What do you think?
We don't see this type of a contract a lot in the NFL. We see it in baseball.
Yes.
We'll see it in baseball where they will offset money to after the contract, or it's like it's the end of a guy's career. They know he's going to retire. Let's pay him out after he retires anyway. If in the NFL they had lifetime contracts like they do for like college coaches, Ben Roethlisberger would have had it already. Like he's done for the Steelers organization on and off the field. This is not necessarily you put it on right there. Does he deserve it? No, I don't know. Like, he's not really been that great over the last couple of years, but these contracts are because of the body of work he's done since he's been in Pittsburgh. Like, that's really where this contract comes into play. I think we're going to see it's up to Ben when he wants to stop playing. The Steelers are going to go, hey, you got a starting spot till you don't want anymore. And then it's unfortunate because that's what the Patriots were doing with Brady in a sense. And then it really kind of just kind of snowballed into, well, now we don't have a quarterback. Now you see the Patriots, they don't have an answer at quarterback. And I think the Steelers are next in line to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. They don't have a succession plan in place. They've kind of brought in other QBs that they think might be okay, but we see a huge step down from Ben to Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs, other guys that come in and play. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to look for a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You got to look for a quarterback this offseason. Even if it's a young guy that you think you can groom in your system for a year, maybe two, but you got to draft a quarterback. You got to either draft one or you got to go get somebody, take a flyer on a guy in free agency that you really believe in or you think could do well in your system. But Steelers got a lot of issues coming up. I think that's why they cleared up cap space. They got a lot of issues coming up. Juju's probably gone. Like, they don't have a whole lot of an offense outside of that. They got a few good running backs, but I think they had guys on their offensive line retire or leave. I haven't paid too much attention to the Steelers specifically, but I mean, this is a smart move, like you said, by both teams or by both sides. Big Ben, he's gonna play till he doesn't want to, and the Steelers, you save some money. You're gonna give him you're gonna want him to retire a Steeler anyway, so makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does in a lot of aspects, and I do like the move for both sides. Obviously, I think Big Ben realizing obviously he's not the big prolific quarterback he used to be. Not that he was like super prolific in any kind of way, but that'd be interesting. We'll bring that up in a moment. But very
I saw that too.
Yeah, but very interesting though to see this go down the way it did, and I'm happy that it's working out this way. But this realistically will probably be the last year Ben Roethlisberger plays for the Steelers. Now they were able obviously to get off to that hot 11-0 start, which ended up turning around into a horrific meltdown throughout the rest of the season and in the playoffs. But
I said this during their undefeated streak. They're the weakest undefeated team in the NFL, and we saw what happened.
Yeah, you definitely called it, man. You called it. But the big thing is that this is going to at least go on for one more year, but they're going to have a change at center. Pouncey did retire, so they're going to have to fill that void. Like you said, they're probably losing Juju, so there's going to end up being that void even later on after the fact. So it's going to be crazy when you see how this develops, that there's going to be a big mass change in the next couple seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Probably the only thing that's probably going to stay consistent is that they'll probably still have Mika Fitzpatrick, and then they'll have Chase Claypool and maybe James Conner. And outside of that, who knows? Yeah. It's all really going to be up for grabs. So,
and that's why they're okay with letting Juju walk, because of the play of Chase Claypool, and they know like that's another guy who's on a cheap contract. Like, they can let Juju walk. But really what I would be worried about, and I think it wasn't it Villanueva, did he leave or was it somebody else? Because I know Pouncey and one other guy on their offensive line like retired or is not going to be playing there this next year. But they got to rebuild that offensive line. I mean, that's really, if you want to, no matter who your quarterback is, and I don't know if you want to toss that in the comment that we had in the chat just now.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one,
But,
too. Jimmy brought up about a possibility of Sam Darnold going to the Steelers, which I think could be a very interesting move. It would just be how he would acclimate to that offense, which I think with James Conner in the backfield could work out pretty nicely.
well, he said that they freed up the money, but I don't know if you'll be able to I don't know if you'll be able to trade the right assets to the Jets for them to want to be able to get rid of Sam Darnold. I mean, they're going to be having a high asking price probably, just because of how much capital has been spent on going to trade for quarterbacks already this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets are probably going to think that they're, and well deserved it if they want to try to get at least a first round pick for Sam Darnold. He still has that potential, but it'll be interesting. I don't see him going to the Steelers. It'd be intriguing, but at the same time, there's only one decent receiver in Claypool, and you've got Connor isn't always healthy. They don't really have they have a few other guys that can fit in, but they lost part of their offensive line. They really need to rebuild that. I don't even think Darnold would succeed in that offense.
Mm-hmm. Well, the big thing, though, I see with that type of a situation is that if you look at Darnold's contract, he's still on his rookie deal. So in 2021, he'll be playing on year 4 with a 5th-year option. It's not that expensive of a contract. And the Steelers do have all of their picks, 1st through 7th. But I don't know. I don't think it could happen just because unless they really see a lot in Darnold, I don't see them wanting to move forward with trying to upgrade the position yet. I have a feeling, though, they would want to draft somebody, basically get the quarterback of the future. Because remember, with how even Ben Roethlisberger was discovered, he was drafted out of the Miami of Ohio, and it was very interesting to see his maturation because he got forced into the starting job after injury. So, and then just happened to run up a 15-1 record. So, he cemented himself in his first year. So I don't think that the Steelers are going to want to go and get someone who's been having to deal with all these troubles and all that and necessarily rebuild with a quarterback also trying to rebuild. I think they would want to go clean, go fresh, get someone new. But who knows? The NFL is a crazy place these days, so you never know. But it looks like we lost Craig. Don't know what happened here. We'll have to get him back on. But see what happens here. But yeah, definitely very interesting to see just the maturation process of Sam Darnold. Hopefully he'll be able to find something a little bit better, but we're going to go ahead and move on with or without Craig. We'll see if he ends up rejoining us. But the Washington football team has decided to release quarterback Alex Smith, a huge move, dropping the comeback player of the year. So definitely a interesting move for sure. Don't know if he's going to end up landing with another team. There's been a lot of speculations that he could end up getting a backup job somewhere, but I know the Eagles have been listed up there as well, so no telling how that's exactly going to work out, but we'll definitely see when that time comes, and it's going to be, I think, a huge blow for Alex Smith. I think the guy definitely still has a lot of talent and ability to be able to still play and be competitive in the NFL. So it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully he lands somewhere, and hopefully he'll be able to get back on track and be able to get things going. So, I mean, we'll see. Don't know if he'll actually get a starting job, but hopefully if we can get Craig back here in a minute, we can be able to see what's going on and be able to get this thing back going, man. I can't believe we lost Craig. Get him back on here, man. All righty, but hopefully we'll get him back on here in a second. There he is.
Hey, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you gotta love. We'll blame Spectrum on this one. Hopefully they're not watching, but wanted to get your thoughts because we already moved on to the next subject. The Washington football team has released quarterback Alex Smith. Definitely a surprising move for the comeback player of the year. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm I'm gonna keep it PG because I'm assuming kids may be watching this show, as in our own over here. Spectrum can know where they can put it because they have a monopoly on internet around here and it's garbage. So anyway, so moving on, talking about Alex Smith. Alex Smith is unfortunately we saw this kind of coming, and it was more really a cap clearing move for Washington. They clearly play a lot better with Alex Smith than without him, but it's just unfortunate. We kind of knew this was coming because of the story. Like he got hurt, and now it's what are they going to do? They don't have an answer quarterback, so it's kind of surprising to me that they would just part ways with him. But this actually opens the door for Alex Smith to go to a place that will actually give him a fair shake. So I don't have a list of teams that he could go to, and there's a couple that are out there looking for a quarterback of his skill set, of his leadership ability. But Washington, I think they know it's time to try to go to a younger quarterback that they can build around, like their a future quarterback of the future. And I don't know who that's going to be because they re-signed Taylor. I forget. I can't say his last name.
Haneke.
Yeah, they re-signed him, but they know he's going to be a backup. He's not going to be their starter. They already know this. So
he's an insurance policy.
To me, they're going to have to go draft a quarterback. Are they going to be able to get one? I don't know. They're going to have to get in a position to try to draft one if that's the case. But it's really going to be I'm just really curious. I don't know where the Washington football team is going to go from here. Honestly, I have no idea where they're going to go. But they haven't really made the smartest moves historically to begin with.
Yeah, that is true. But there is something actually I just came across here. Apparently, Ian Rappaport is already hearing about two teams that could potentially be in the mix for Alex Smith right now, in the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that could be very intriguing. I think especially with Jacksonville, they're a team that's honestly going to be going through a lot of rebuild, have a lot of draft capital. Definitely going to be interesting to see how that could work out for them.
Yeah, the Jaguars would be interesting, but unfortunately, I would hate for him to go there because he would then be another bridge quarterback because they're going to draft probably Trevor Lawrence. So it's unfortunate he would go. I would rather see him go to the Bears, as much as I would hate to see him go to the Bears, being a Lions fan. But I think he would be much better suited to go to Chicago versus if he went to Jacksonville to reunite with Urban Meyer. They're not in the same spot. Like, he's going to be I don't want to see him go to a place where Chicago's in a much better position to win than Jacksonville, and that's not saying much.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see him go somewhere he can be helpful to a winning franchise because at the end of the day, I want to see this guy succeed. I want to see him get a ring. I want to see him do well, and I think he should pick what's best decision for him and his family, but also go to a place where you could and win.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing,
Jacksonville.
I think the biggest thing for him too is that a lot of people are going to be worried about his injury and how he may be able to undertake the rigors of being an NFL starter in today's NFL. And that makes me worry that he's going to get relegated to a backup role. I would hate to see that happen to him, but it's a very real possibility and one that people really need to keep in mind with this. But no matter what happens, I would like to see him get in, be able to get a legitimate shot, and maybe even, like you said, win a title or do something, because I feel like this guy's been through hell and back in his entire career, has come so close in other instances, especially when it was with San Francisco, that, you know, for this guy to kind of fall short, honestly, I think would be kind of sad. And Jimmy bringing up in the chat that the Saints might try to use Smith to buy some time, which actually could be very possible. But the only problem with that is that they also have Jameis Winston, who's still sitting there and is probably the Saints' most viable option right now, given that he's under contract still. So, I mean, we'll see, but a lot of things could happen with that. But you know where there's a lot of things happening? A lot of things happening on the PCN shop. What can you tell us about that, Craig?
My internet keeps going out, so I honestly am catching bits and pieces of what you're saying.
It was a wonderful transition.
I just heard Saints, and I don't. I would be intrigued to see him in a Sean Payton offense. I don't see him chucking the ball down the field very much. I know this is comical at this point. Spectrum can shove it.
Yeah, it definitely is Spectrum and all its craziness probably at this point. Gotta love having these kind of issues when everything's fine and then you go Showtime and now the internet wants to be funny. But no, it's okay. Just transition time. Tell us about that PCN shop, Craig. See, and he's off. Looks, he bits and pieces probably. Doesn't even know what's going on, but that's okay because the PCN shop is now open. You can definitely get the latest and greatest, whether it's a neck gaiter to protect you from COVID-19, a mug for your morning coffee, or a t-shirt just to look cool. We got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the lineup, where you can also get the Boycott the College Football Playoff t-shirt. Go ahead, get the t-shirt, take a selfie, tag FinalScore, and use the hashtag #DownWithCFP. That way we can find your pick, and you might just end up on FinalScore. So definitely go do that. Grab that Jody, wear it proud, and let everybody know that you are not happy with the College Football Playoff. So time, though, to talk some other college athletics, with a little bit of the NCAA men's basketball conference championships that are going on right now, and we'll be concluding going into next weekend. It's going to be a crazy time just because of everything with COVID and now the conference championships being played in their own kind of little closed off cordon sites, and then the NCAA tournament, March Madness itself, when we get to Indianapolis. It's all so wild, man. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting with the NCAA tournament and having it in all of the state of Indiana. It's be interesting to see how they do it, because they're talking about doing little mini bubbles everywhere, but you're still having everybody in close contact. You're going to have to hope that people are clean coming into the bubble, and we've already seen the effects of it. Liberty, I believe, is one that already punched their ticket because they haven't even finished the conference championship tournament yet, but the team they're playing in the finals isn't eligible for the tournament or something. I think I heard that yesterday. So Liberty's already automatically punched their ticket, and they don't even have to play the conference championship game. Like, they're already in. So
that's crazy.
It's going to be intriguing because we're seeing upsets how we normally do. But I saw one of the games yesterday. It was a 6-5 team upset the top seed in one of the smaller conferences, and like, that type of a team could get in at 6-5. Like, this is how ridiculous college year because of the coronavirus. Like, this, just stop doing this stuff. This college sports should not be happening. If you're that damn concerned about COVID and stopping and starting the season, just stop the damn season. Just stop. Stop putting kids in harm's way. Stop it. I understand we have to live with it. It's going to be here. College basketball makes all the money. NCAA, the kids make jack squat. Don't put the kids in harm's way.
Woo! Getting hot over there. But still, no, I absolutely agree. You got to think about it. You know, there's been the Ivy League who continually is canceling all their seasons because there's no point. Why even bother trying to put yourself at risk? Just stop. And I don't see them shoving 68 teams into Indianapolis over what, 2 or 3 arenas that they're going to be using. It's going to be absolutely just a shit show. Like, lack of a better way of saying it. It's going to be a shit show. And I think that we're not going to be able to finish the NCAA tournament. I honestly believe that, because COVID is going to end up striking again, and we got all these new strains and all this stuff happening. But who knows? Hopefully we are wrong. Hopefully nothing happens and they have everything in place and everything works out the way it's supposed to. But, you know, hopes and dreams, you know, sometimes just go. So Who knows? We'll definitely see what will happen, but definitely make sure to keep your eyes glued to Fixed Edge. That's right, Double Dime has rebranded as Fixed Edge, and we went live yesterday on YouTube. So if you didn't catch that, definitely go check it out. Fixed Edge Investing. But we talked a little bit about the basketball conference championships and Selection Sunday. That's going to be coming up next Sunday. It's going to be a really interesting show. We're going to see how a lot of these teams are going to seed out. And then Fixed Edge will also be giving you a little bit of a preview and some of their lines for the NCAA tournament. So going to be really interesting to see how all that shakes out. But of course, we'll also talk about it here on Final Scores. We'll give you our little preview show, talk about some of our top fours and or who we think will be the top four number one teams, the number one squads in going into the tournament. But with that, who do you think could possibly win this? Who are your teams to watch out for right now?
Honestly, I haven't watched a lot of college basketball this year. It's just starting for me to really. I'm only paid attention to obviously Michigan, and I've watched a little bit of Baylor, a little bit of Gonzaga. Those are some of the top teams. Illinois, when is a really tough draw for a lot of other teams, but I honestly, there's so much wildness that could happen this year. I'm really going to be intrigued to see what happens if a team tests positive bubble. How is NCAA going to handle that? And I don't think they're going to handle it very well. So I honestly am not going to pick. I can't pick because there's no. I don't think it's going to be as good of a tournament as we're hoping for. We're really hoping that, fingers crossed, everything goes well, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. It's NCAA going to get put in a tough spot. Some team is going to test positive while they're in the bubble, and it's going to cause all hell to break loose. And teams are going to back out. Teams are going to I just see it being complete chaos. But I'm looking at Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan. Those three teams, the three best teams in the country. Those are that's what my picks would be. Is any one of those three teams are probably going to win the championship.
No, I definitely could see that. The big thing I see too is that anybody, I feel like if this were to be the year that anybody could win it from anywhere. You want to see that Cinderella story. You want to see a team randomly come out of nowhere. This is the year because we've seen teams go down left and right, and it could honestly end up turning into just a giant craptastic show of Cinderellas, which I wouldn't be against. But that's even if you make it to the finals. Like you said, Craig, who knows if we'll even make it that far. Honestly, all this is probably going to unravel at the seams. But I think that when you're looking at a lot of these teams, we've already seen teams that have been getting upset left and right. Even Notre Dame upset Florida State yesterday before having their season finale and the end of their season. So it's very interesting when you look at this that a lot of these teams could very easily be upset at any point during this entire tournament, and we could see first round upset, second round upset, third round upsets. It doesn't matter. We're going to see it regardless. And I think it's going to happen in droves, even if we do get that far. And when you're looking at some of these teams, there's a lot of bubble teams, but when you're looking at the top, Baylor, Gonzaga, Illinois, and Michigan are slated to be those top teams, to be the number one teams going into the tournament. So it's going to be interesting. I think they all have a legitimate shot, but there's a lot of teams out there that really could play spoiler. You got Alabama sitting out there who's been just a force out of nowhere in the East, as well as looking at Houston, who's also been playing amazing. Arkansas has been good. Virginia is still sitting out there, as is Kansas as a 4 seed. Purdue's played well. Look, Ohio State's even there. So it's interesting when you're looking at these that there's so many ways that this could work out, so many ways that the tournament could play out. Bracketology going nuts. There's been so many moves since certain brackets have even been released. Like, seriously, it has been crazy. I mean, crazy. So we'll definitely see how it shakes out, and we'll be able to get a better view once we get to next Sunday and get to Selection Sunday. And hopefully once we get to Selection Sunday, we'll be able to have a lot better of an idea of what we'll be up against, honestly, going forward. So Hey, there he is. Thought we lost you.
Yeah, we did. I'm hoping I'm coming in okay.
Oh, you're coming in pretty good. I'll have to play with your camera a little because you're coming in sideways, but that's okay. We'll be able to fix that up for you. But no.
Oh, you gotta love a combination of terrible Spectrum internet and a much needed upgrade to a computer.
Right.
You're seeing the effects. Welcome to live streaming, everybody. This is
Yeah.
I'll move my mic down a little bit. There we go.
It was fun, they said. It was a good idea, they said. Oh, man. But, hey, it's how it works out sometimes. So it is what it is. But definitely going to be very interesting. Like we were talking about a little bit before we lost you. Very interesting how this entire tournament could be. I agree with you that we might not make it very far whatsoever, depending upon how a lot of this will turn out, because a lot of uncertainty when you're putting that many teams into a format like this. So, I mean, anything could happen, man. Anything could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I haven't watched a whole lot of college basketball outside of a few of the top teams. I watched a few games from Michigan this year. But even them, what is considered one of the best teams in the country, they had to shut down for a couple of weeks because of COVID. So I want to see how the NCAA responds. Are they going to be – because last year they just abruptly shut down during the conference tournaments, and they didn't even give a chance because they were like, oh, we're so concerned about players' health and safety. And then guess what happens this year? No, we're going to move forward in a bubble format. What happens when, not if, but when a team tests positive? You can't get that many people in a small enough location. I know they're playing in satellite locations across the state. What's going to happen when you get that many people in that small of an area? It's bound to happen. Some team is going to test positive. What are you going to do? Are you going to kick them out of the tournament? Are you going to postpone games? Like, what's your plan? I don't think the NCAA even has a plan.
No, I think they're just going to kind of wing it and just kind of see what happens, which, I mean, you really can't expect them to do much more than that, to be honest. But still, it's I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy. They really are taking a shot with trying to literally force this into such a small area. Like, I get about having the bubble format. I get it, but it's just, this is not going to be good, man. It's not going to be good. So I do worry with how this really could turn out. But I mean, hey, we'll see. But you could always see and check out all the great content that you can find for Final Score. Where can they find that, Greg?
Well, they can find all the audio versions of our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Player FM, Bullhorn, and CastBox. You can find the video versions of all of our podcasts, including these episodes, as well on YouTube. All you got to do is search keyword PCN Final Score, all in one word, or you can always find all of our content on podcastcity.net/Final Score.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And we got a lot of great content. We're almost to 100 episodes. So obviously we've been at this a little bit. So definitely a lot to go and check out. But we definitely got to check out something else, talk about something else, because we got some craziness that's going to be happening tonight at 8 p.m. on TNT. That's right. We're talking about the NBA All-Star Game. And it's going to be interesting for a number of reasons, just because obviously we're still dealing with like COVID and everything with that. So a lot of ins and outs of how this will go, including how halftime will work, especially with shoving in all the skill challenges and all this kind of stuff. This is going to be really crazy unto itself, man. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, it's definitely an interesting year for everybody involved, but with with them trying to do everything all in one, I think it's going to make for a unique idea moving forward. I like the idea of you're making it a spectacle. Why not do multiple things in one day? Like they used to try to do the Rising Stars game Friday, skills challenge, dunk contest, 3-point Saturday, and then Sunday. They make it into a big weekend event. When you have fans there, that makes sense. When you don't have fans and you don't have that kind of stuff accessible, why not condense it as much as possible? So that makes sense. It's going to be really – it's going to be really interesting to see how how long they take between halves. But it's
Yeah.
an all-star game. It's basically for charity anyway. Like, it doesn't have any bearing. It's not like the NFL or Major League Baseball is a big one where the winning team for the All-Star game hosts the World Series. Like, that's a big thing on the line. NBA doesn't really do that too much. They don't really do too much of that. So it's most of the guys, and a lot of the players don't even care this year. They say we shouldn't do it, even though I understand why. Like, it's the All-Star game has always been about the fans. It's not about the players. It's about the fans. Yes, I understand. It's irrelevant this year. We should be worried about health and safety. But think about this: the NBA also needs to recoup losses from this last year and from the bubble and not being able to sell tickets, and even this year, a lot of teams not able to have fans in their stadiums. So the NBA has to make up that money somewhere, and by still doing an all-star, that's what I don't get about certain players that are like, oh well, we shouldn't do this because of XYZ reason. Well, you got voted in the All-Star game by the fans. The fans pay your salary. The fans pay a lot of this and that. Like, they do all that stuff to come watch you play.
True story. True story,
LeBron
man.
James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. They come to watch you play, LeBron.
Speaking.
They don't come to watch Alex Caruso.
No, they definitely don't.
They don't come. Some maybe. Like, white guys like me, like, I like to watch Alex Caruso play because he gives people like us hope.
Well,
but like, they're not coming to watch the guys at the end of the bench. They're not coming to watch the coach. They're coming to watch that. They're coming to watch LeBron James. They're coming to watch Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden. They're coming to watch the big boys.
Yeah.
That's why they have the All-Star game. They want to watch the Luka Doncic's and the Jokic and the Kawhi Leonards, and they want to watch those guys play. That's why the All-Star game was there. It was a spectacle of the best players in the league playing for the fans.
True story, man. True story. And Jimmy giving you a little bit of a shout out too, saying Craig's going to be coming at you live next week from the Panera parking lot.
Yeah, no, Starbucks actually. We're gonna test out Starbucks. I can't do that, man. I can't go that. No, actually, I may have a brand new setup this. I'm just so fed up with the terrible technology that we've had in this studio here for me, that I'm just gonna literally go out and buy all new equipment this week. I don't even care.
Do it now. Tell Chris Carnage to shove it. Just tell Chris Carnage.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Oh, man.
Hey, my hairline says I'm 40, but I'm not, I promise you.
He promises. Super cereal. Anyways,
I'm not 40. My hairline says different, but I'm not.
But speaking of LeBron James, oh my gosh. Speaking of LeBron James, we ended up having the NBA All-Star Draft just this past Friday, where we saw LeBron James take Giannis Antetokounmpo first in the 2021 NBA All-Star Draft. And the Utah Jazz, they got in just at the end. But yes, we did have that, and we finally have our lineups for the All-Star game, man. What do you think about it?
Well, it's really funny to me that both Jazz players were picked last, and I know why they did it. Like, I get it. Like, there's still some competitive fire with these guys, even in the All-Star game. James was like, well, I try to pick guys that complement each other. So you picked Giannis as your first pick? Like, he does not compliment you at all. Like, does not compliment you at all. But I get the little pettiness that goes on. Like, the Jazz are the top team in the NBA, so let's slight them by picking. Hey Durant. Yeah. Here, I need to piss them off so that they're all wrapped up in the All-Star festivities and not in the second half of the season. Pick them last. Pick Donovan Mitchell last. I'm gonna pick Gobert last.
Oh my god, I wouldn't be surprised either, honestly. But I was.
These guys talk a lot. Like, these guys talk a lot. off the court. So like, yeah, why not? Like,
Oh yeah. But you know what's funny?
I like.
I love LeBron's
Yeah, go ahead.
reasoning. He said he defended the decision to pick the Jazz last and said, "Well, we never would have picked them in a video game." He's like, "Do you go on to NBA games and go pick the Utah Jazz?" Like, come on.
That's super petty.
That's super petty.
He just knows that because of course he's on the damn Lakers. Like,
Yeah.
the Lakers, one of the most storied franchises in the NBA. Of course they're gonna pick Lakers when you're playing a video game. Like, but I'm that guy. I was literally just playing 2K with my brother yesterday. I'm the guy. I'm picking the Grizzlies of the world. I'm picking the. Who's the other one I picked that I destroyed him? Oh, the Kings.
I was about to say I'm a Magic fan, so I understand this. So it is what it is.
Magic are horrible in 2K, by the way. They have no scorers.
Of course, and it's probably not updated for Voos being the monster he is either this season. So it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm glad Voos got in though. Voos
Yeah.
definitely well deserved. I was going back and forth with some people on Twitter about that when it came out, but Voos is going to be on Durant's team, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like I said, like looking at some of these, Durant's got Harden, that makes sense. Devin Booker, Zion. They're going to hype up the Zion versus James if they're ever on the court together.
Oh, to the max.
I'm glad Zach LaVine got in. He's one of the All-Stars. Julius Randle's another guy. Shout out to Off the Ball podcast. That's a big New York Knicks fandom. Julius Randle having a solid year. Glad to see him in.
Mm-hmm.
And then LeBron James got Dame Lillard, Ben Simmons, Chris Paul, Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Sabonis, and Gobert. I'm glad to see Sabonis got in. I know he was kind of a snub, but he was a replacement. I forget who he replaced. But
I know.
I'm glad he got in. They got a few replacement guys in.
Yeah, because I know Anthony Davis
isn't
isn't playing, and I know that who else was it? Devin Booker. Yeah.
Replaced Anthony Davis.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how it works out. It's going to be interesting, but one thing that you're not going to be able to do is go watch it in person, apparently, because NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has said that fans should consider All-Star Weekend a, quote, television-only event. So, have fun, man. You're not going to be able to get in there in Atlanta and be able to watch this All-Star game. So, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's for the better. I'm not trying to take that away. And given how they're going to be trying to shove, the skills challenges and the 3-point contest and the dunk contest and all this kind of stuff in at halftime and around, this event, it's going to be a lot going on. So it probably is for the best just to make sure nobody catches anything, gives them a lot more control in the situation. But I'm sure there's some fans that are really mad that they're not going to be able to get to go. I mean, there's always going to be those people, but what do you think about it?
There's going to be those people that are mad no matter what.
Yeah.
It's the smartest move for them. It's still we're still in this part. We're still dealing with the pandemic, a year later. It just makes sense. Like, I don't know how much more we can beat this horse that we've been talking about with the pandemic of should we be playing sports and should we not and all this kind of stuff. Like, All-Star games are fun. They're meant to be for the fans. That's why they did the bubble last year, because they still wanted to at least, gain some revenue and do that. They're going to get a lot of eyeballs glued to the TV tonight because it is a TV-only event. All the events, all the skills challenges are going to be done on tonight. I think they're going to see a little bit of a spike in ratings because of it. But, that's what we got to deal with.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's probably for the best. Like we said, it's when you're dealing with all this, it's probably going to be the best route of action to go. But there's other people that have been trying to get into the kind of spirit of making sure we're doing right by others. And hats off to Joel Embiid, who is donating $100,000 in All-Star winnings to homeless shelters in the Philadelphia area. So, man, hats off to him for doing that. And he's also been killing it on the court too. So, getting it done on and off the court, man. What do you think?
Yeah, he's been in the MVP conversation this year, but the problem is for him, he's rarely ever healthy enough to put up MVP type numbers. He's always had a minutes pitch count for a while, like starting off his career. We know what he can do when he's on the court and when he's got that killer instinct, that mindset on the court. but sometimes he gets in his own head, shoots too many threes, just kind of lackadaisical, and then he's got his minutes pitch count. Like this is what you can expect to see out of Joel Embiid when he's involved, when he's mentally involved and 100%. Like this is what you can see on the court. Mm-hmm. Off the court, like he's done like stuff like this before. Like he's been an integral part of that community. So. Mm-hmm. And people love him, especially if he's one of those guys that if he's on your team, you absolutely love him. But if he's not on your team, you probably hate him. Like he's one of those polarizing guys. But gotta have those guys in the NBA. I love watching him play. I love hearing even going back to Kansas days. He would like when Bill Self would get mad at him, he would like forget English.
Wow. A mí no habla inglés.
He's a character.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It definitely does. So definitely make sure though to check out the NBA All-Star Game tonight, 8 p.m. on TNT. And then at halftime, like we said earlier, they'll be having the skills challenges, the dunk contest, 3-point shooting, all that kind of stuff. So definitely make sure to check it out. Definitely going to be a lot of great fun. And yeah, it's going to be awesome stuff. Just like how Podcast City Network has a lot of awesome stuff, being the great parent network that they are. What can you tell us about that, Greg?
Absolutely. Well, FinalScore is a proud member of Podcast City Network. PCN has 21 independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. You can find PCN on all major social media platforms. On Facebook, go to facebook.com/podcastcitynetwork. On Twitter, @podcastcitynet. On YouTube, search keywords Podcast City Network. And, of course, on our website, podcastcity.net. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network.
Absolutely, and definitely have so many great shows that have joined the network recently, so definitely make sure to check them all out, and more to come as well. Definitely has been awesome stuff we've been seeing out of all these great shows, including the expansion of PCN Sports and all the sports shows that have been joining the network, so definitely hats off to all of them. But now it's going to be time for a little bit of something we haven't done in a bit because we tried to stream it out, but then, you know what? I just wanted to put it all back in one spot, and that is the good old meme madness. And I already see Jimmy on here saying he already has memes ready to go. Man, look at this guy. Always ready, always ready. But definitely got some funny ones today because, when that final score theme kicks in, man, it's just, it's perfect. It's perfect. Always good stuff that we try to bring here on Final Score. And if you missed last week's episode, we try to mix it up. We don't. It's not always just us. We like to bring in guys from the other shows on the network, including JDM, who definitely has no problem coming on and throwing around a little bit of Espanol, which I know Jimmy had missed last week. Which we missed you, bud. We needed you, but it's okay. We understand. Sleep is important, so it's all good. But you did miss JDM throwing around that Espanol for you. We even had it up on the screen and everything. Oh man, but something else JDM posted that you might have seen on the Final Score social media accounts was some interesting things going on with the Buffalo Sabres and how Marv from Home Alone probably has more scores as a wet bandit than the trio of Hall, Eichel, and Skinner for the Sabres. 27 million for such a small amount of goals. So, man, that one kind of hurts. Not even gonna lie. Oh man, but looking at some of these other ones, man, there's some good ones on here, including a great portrait, so to speak, of some quarterbacks who've been able to share the same amount of Super Bowl appearances as Drew Brees, including Jared Goff, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, and of course good old Saint Nick himself, Nick Foles. And it's crazy to think that Drew Brees has only been to the Super Bowl one time, only once. I think with the kind of numbers and stuff, everything he puts up, it would have been far more than that. Oh, man. Oh, this is great. This is great.
At least he's won one, though.
At least he's won one, though.
Like Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks considered in the history of the game. Never won a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. You ain't lying. You are not lying at all. And right now, don't mind me. I'm just finding all kinds of new stuff because – of course, Jimmy, being the amazing meme god that he is, has already sent me yet another meme that I am trying to get included in on this. But yeah, man, a lot of great stuff. Dan Marino, though, he should have won one. But when we wanted to talk about, J.J. Watt and the move he made and why he chose to go to the Arizona Cardinals, one thing that kept pointing out in my mind was snow team, playing in a dome. Because come on, you want to go to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, or Green Bay and play in those frozen tundras? I don't like the cold. So why not go to Arizona where it's a little bit warm and you can go play in a dome in the nice air conditioning? So, makes sense, right? Oh my goodness. But you know what? With J.J. Watt's addition to the Arizona Cardinals, we did talk about earlier how that's going to be a very nasty, formidable defensive front, and that it's going to be a lot for quarterbacks in that division to try and keep up whatsoever with a lot of these defenses. And I think one person that might be very, very worried about it could very well be Russell Wilson. And it's something to keep out that when he found out the lineup for the pass rushers in that division, he's like, I'm going to head out. And that's why we got all.
I'm a head out now. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, you got to go up against all those pass rushers multiple times a year. Yikes.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that prospect. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely is not exactly the kind of situation you always want to be in. But I told you guys I was going to squeeze this in because Jimmy's the man. With being able to drop these memes, yes, we are calling out Spectrum Internet in real time now because we're ready to pop that balloon at any point. Anybody got some better internet service they can bring us? Let us know.
hey, Google Fiber, where you at?
Yeah, where you at?
We've heard about Google Fiber for years. Where is that? We need it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be perfect in these kind of moments. But that is this week's Meme Madness. Thank you guys so much for submitting a lot of these memes or finding these memes and posting them to us. Been a lot of great stuff. And if you think you have a meme or like a meme that you want to see on the show, post it to us. Send it to us. Let us know about it. Tag us in it because we freaking love memes. I'm not even joking you. Like, we really love memes. I love memes to the point I go wild. I'm just like, so at the end of the day, just send us those memes. They might end up here on a live episode of Final Score, so definitely do it. But that does bring us to something else you could do, including joining Podcast City Network and the array of amazing podcasts that we have on the network because they offer an array of membership services, including logo design and branding, all kinds of social media advertising, will help you with live podcast hosting on top of so much more. And you gain access to our network of shows to help with cross promotion and guests while increasing your overall reach and being a part of our ever expanding community of podcasts that are just, we're all here to help one another. We're literally based on people helping people. And the best part is no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network, which means if we're talking about joining the network, that means it is now time for the good old give or go. And, this one I think is going to be a very interesting one this week. And we're going to go ahead and throw it right off the top. And I really want to get your 2 cents on this. Overtime Elite Pro Basketball League is launching in September and will compensate high school aged players. Give or go.
Well, if you're not familiar with what overtime is that short form. They started off on Vine. It was basically just showing basketball highlights, and it really kind of gained a lot of popularity over the last couple of years. It's one of the companies that has helped kind of launch Zion Williamson's career. Basically, they posted a lot of his in-game dunks and stuff like that, and a lot of his highlights really kind of helped gain the popularity for him, eventually going to Duke, and then of course being one of now the most marketed players in the NBA. Yeah. But what they're doing is Overtime Elite is planning on launching in September, and they're targeting high school players ranged 16 to 18 that are willing to give up their high school eligibility and college eligibility to make up to, they're talking about, they will earn at least $100,000 guaranteed for the season. Also they're planning to compensate players through bonuses, equity in the company Overtime,
and revenues from a player's name, image, and likeness, as well as full healthcare benefits. And here's a kicker. If they decide that they do not want to go play in the NBA or professional leagues and they want to go to college, that $100,000 then goes to their college tuition. But
Nice.
they obviously cannot play while they're in college because they've given up that eligibility as an athlete.
Man,
So
wow.
there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. There's a few investors that have been involved. So overtime investors have been Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant, and the late NBA Commissioner David Stern. But really the guy who's spearheading this entire initiative for overtime is his name is Aaron Ryan. He's the OTE president and commissioner, but he's worked in the NBA for 22 years, and he's most recently been the vice president of the NBA 2K League. Now, I say all that to say this. This is going to 100% unequivocally fail. This is going to fail. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to not do what they hope it will do, because the G League has already said, hey, you're over 18. Instead of going to college, you can come to the, and this, it's not meant to be for players that just, hey, I don't want to go to college, I want to play in the G League. It's only meant for the select few players that are actually going to go to the NBA. Like, that's what it's meant. That's why they have the G League Ignite team, which is phenomenal to watch, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they have that development program already set up. The NCAA, we already know all that. I'm not going to dive into that. We're not going to peel that onion because everyone knows what they're all about.
Oh, yeah.
But players have the option to go play overseas for a year. We've seen RJ Hampton do it. LaMelo Ball did it. They are now playing in the NBA. But this, to me, by overtime, is it's not a money grab, but they're attempting to cater to the kids that these are kids that don't give a crap about finishing high school. They just literally want to go play in the NBA. They want to get all that money, but I don't think it's going to be as successful as they think, and I think it's going to be a flop because it's already said up to 100K, but it's not going to all be 100K cash. It's going to be equity in a company, equity in overtime that, to my knowledge, isn't really that profitable of a company. And, like, I could be wrong. Someone please correct me and give me those stats if you could. But the revenue from players' images and likenesses, that's really what I think they're banking on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we're going to pay you through bonuses. My question, where's all this damn money going to come from? Is it going to come from NBA players? What's their return on investment? It doesn't make sense to me if you're an NBA player to do something like this, unless you know you're putting your money into a failing business.
Just saying.
I don't think this is going to work at all. I think it's going to fail. It's going to be just like every other attempt at, like, because there's so many now outlets for players to make money instead of going to college. That's literally what people are building a platform on, and that is shaky ground. Because as soon as the NBA did what they did with the G League, and as soon as the NCAA finally comes around to allowing players to make money off their name and image and likeness, then all these other things fall by the wayside, which is why a bunch of the, quote, minor league football programs don't work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right,
Until the NFL decides to do their own development system, which they should, once they do that, game over. Like, game over. But this overtime elite thing, it'll be fun for a couple weeks. No one will tune in. No one's going to care. And it's just going to fall away. It's going to last maybe a year. There's no way. You can't make up for all that money unless you literally have billions, not millions, billions of dollars sitting in a bank waiting to just be burned. That's what's going to happen with this league.
100%, man. 100%. Man, you ain't leaving no stone unturned on this.
Rant over.
Oh my goodness, it is too good. But we got our next one though. It's a real good one. Speaking of money, a Tom Brady rookie card just sold for a record $1.32 million. Now, this particular card is a 2000 Playoff Contenders Championship ticket card that was graded an 8 out of 10 by PSA. The signature was graded 10 out of 10. And then was sold at auction. This card is definitely an old card, 21 years old or whatever it was. But it's interesting to see yet another huge sports card go for a buttload of money. Because when it comes to football players, this is not only the highest price paid, but far surpassed the previous record by nearly $500,000, which was a Patrick Mahomes card that sold for $861,000 back at the beginning of February. So, man, $1.32 million. Would you pay that money?
I don't even have that money. I've got a couple of books over here full of cards from the early '90s. So I mean, you know, I don't know what's in there anymore. I mean, we got some stuff in there, but yeah, I mean, this the ticket. I was just talking about this the other day because Pokemon cards are now becoming back into high demand for as far as like, collectors and stuff like that. So like sports cards, that business has really been booming over the last couple of years, and it's because our age, our generation, when we were younger, collected sports cards. Now we're at the point where we have disposable income that we can start buying that up. And now it's just like with sneakers. You're going to have people that are like, I need to have that. And they will spend exorbitant amounts of money to go and get whatever it is that they want. It's kind of fitting that the greatest of all time now holds the record for the highest record-breaking football card ever sold at auction. But something's going to top it probably in a couple of years from football. Like if Pat Mahomes' career continues on the trajectory that it's at, Pat Mahomes is going to have the record again probably in 5-10 years. If he wins another Super Bowl, stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I love Jimmy's take on this. Tom, literally every record now, Brady, now adding another stud to the belt. Absolutely crazy, but hey, it is what it is. But you know what? I saw something else that was pretty damn crazy, and that was Juju Smith-Schuster becoming the newest participant in Ryan Garcia's Body Shot Challenge. Have you seen this video yet?
No, and I'm not going to.
Oh, it's great. I love every moment. Dude, he takes like 30 shots.
Go ahead. You tell us about it.
Oh, we'll talk about it because it's literally him with the protective covering for your torso that you would have when doing sparring and boxing, and takes easily 30 some odd shots to the torso before he just collapses in pain. And I enjoyed it just because he was just being punished in it. It was absolutely amazing to watch, man. You should watch it.
I don't care. This guy is just doing whatever he can to stay in the spotlight. He cares more about his social media than he does being on the football field and performing on the football field. I don't care.
This
have
guy.
Fun. Do you, boo.
Oh, boo. Having no fun. All right, well, we'll just go on to the next one.
I don't care. It doesn't affect my life. I don't care. Do your thing, man. Hey, you're a great football player. You could be even better if you focused on training instead of doing stupid challenges.
You never know. But it is what it is. Another thing that you got to look at is that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says that most players will get the COVID-19 vaccine, but will not be required to do so. Give or go.
Well, you can't. I mean, you can force people to do it, but it's not smart to do so. I'm a little surprised that because of the clout of athletes that they haven't already been accessible to the COVID vaccine. But I mean, NBA has been so far one of the foremost front runners when it comes to dealing with COVID-19. So I'm not really surprised. They're going to continue to offer, they'll slowly make it a requirement. Like, hey, you should probably do this. I don't think they'll ever get to the point where they fine people for not getting the vaccine. But,
No.
It makes sense. You're gonna say, hey, most players will probably do it, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
But you should.
Yeah, right. And I think it's probably the best approach you can probably take with this, just given you could technically force them to do it, given that they are doing physical activity and competitiveness with other athletes. So, for a safety standpoint, they could, but it, like you said, it's going to be a slippery slope. You would end up with a lot of issues. I remember I think this came up with Major League Baseball last year before we even had vaccines. And a lot of people were like, what? You're going to make us do what? So we already know that forcing players is not going to usually work.
Then you're getting involved with the Players Association, because
Yes.
you can force them because it's they're your employee at that point. But the problem is the Players Association is going to come right back and go, you can't force us to do anything. So then it'll be a stalemate. So the NBA is taking the right approach. Hey, it's going to be available for the NBA players, and it's up to you if you want to take it. It's here. We highly encourage you to take it, but it's up to you.
Exactly.
They have to play it that way, because otherwise there are going to be some players that are. I guarantee you, there's some players that are anti-vaxxers
I'm sure.
or something like that. Like, I guarantee you, there's the numbers just make sense. Like, statistically speaking, somebody's going to be an anti-vaxxer in the NBA. So they would make a stink with the Players Association. The Players Association would be like, hey, we had a complaint about you. You can't force us to do this. So they're doing it right.
The comment real quick, Jimmy just posted it in the chat. If Juju, he said, if he, talking about Juju, took one shot for each TikTok, I'd be more impressed. Hey, that wouldn't be bad. Oh, man. But no, I think
he would not make it out of that ring.
No, he wouldn't. He'd just be doubled over dying. But with COVID and everything, yeah, it's the best way they can do it. They obviously don't want to try and run up against the Players Association, especially given how much work that the Players Association and the league have been able to do together without too much of an issue recently. So I don't think they want to try and sour any kind of relations at this point. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out and see how many get it. I'm sure, obviously it won't be all, but we'll see how it plays out. But something we're also going to see play out is California. And California is now going to allow a limited return of fans to Major League Baseball parks and other outdoor sporting events. Give or go.
This is interesting, because looking at some of the numbers, California reported 4,659 new COVID cases on Thursday, while just over 3 million people have been fully vaccinated. So about 10% of the population 16 and older. California has been very sensitive to COVID, ever since it came out. They've been in lockdown for a long time. The company that we work for, based in California, a lot of our operations and that from our job has been shut down for a long time. So they're very Florida. California is very sensitive to that stuff. So this is very surprising to me. It's also very encouraging. It's very encouraging that we are taking steps to allow some fans to go back. When we went to spring training here in Florida, it was limited fans. I think it was 2,000 fans they allowed in for spring training. Everybody was spaced out. They had only the seats that you purchased were the ones you could sit in. All the other chairs around it were strapped down. They do. I'm assuming that all these arenas and venues are going to do what they need to do to make sure that people are socially distanced. They weren't letting people even just randomly walk around the stadium like you used to be able to do. So I don't know if Major League ballparks are going to do this too, but this is encouraging in my eyes. This is encouraging that we're going to be in Major League Baseball in California, one of the states that's been so sensitive, allowing fans to be in.
Absolutely. And this also extends to entertainment venues, also to theme parks. So California is trying to take a cautious approach as well, because they have a colored multi-tier system that's going to be used to try and determine how many people can be allowed into venues as things progress, hopefully towards the better when it comes to battling the coronavirus. So with it starting out, they're only looking at, I believe it was a 20% capacity maximum right now. Once this does go into effect on April 1st. So it'll be interesting when we get to that point and kind of see how we progress from there. So it's very, very, like you said, very promising, but there are caveats. And some of the rules also include that event organizers and theme parks are not allowed to sell tickets to anyone living out of state to try and limit mixing while continuing to roll out coronavirus vaccination. So there are caveats. Don't think that, hey, since California's going up, I can go see the Dodgers. No, you can't. You just can't because you're not from California. So something to kind of keep in mind going forward with this as well, and ways that they're using to try and mitigate this whole issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely some good one for Give or Go this week. But that does bring us to the end of Give or Go, which means it's now to talk a little bit about Podchaser. What can you tell us about Podchaser, Craig?
Well, Podchaser is your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. On Podchaser, you can follow creators, you can browse every podcast ever, and you can rate and review individual episodes. You can go to podchaser.com and search keyword FinalScore, one word, to find us there. And just give us a follow, a rating, and review, and check out all the cool stuff that they have. It's literally a huge database of finding different podcasts. It's kind of got a little bit of like MySpace vibes to me. You can do like a top 5, like a top 10 kind of stuff. Like they got some cool stuff. So if you're heavy into podcasting, or if you're a podcasting enthusiast, check out Podchaser. They got a lot of cool stuff over there.
Absolutely. Definitely check it out. That means it's now time for the week ahead. But before we jump in, I got to throw this comment out there from George DeMoya, good old JDM. Thank you for watching the show, bud. And it says, no matter what, we all know that Florida gonna Florida. And that is so true on so many levels. So, I mean, hey, that's how we do it around here. But in the week ahead, though, a lot of great stuff that's going to be coming up, including from a lot of our member podcasts as members of PCN Sports, including Not a Hockey Market podcast from JDM. Hey, that was perfect timing. Look at that. Bringing you the weekly view on the hockey markets that are not always so looked at. So definitely make sure to check him out. Going through, at 90 Miles Media and out at Couch Dads and all that great stuff. He's on so many stuff. But we also have some of the other great shows that have joined the network. The Nest podcast, bringing you a whole bunch when it comes to sports and entertainment, as well as nerd talk. But most recently, a lot of sports, because, of course, with the return of baseball season, everybody wants to get it in. So definitely make sure to check out the Nest podcast. You can find their hub on Podcast City Network's website, podcastcity.net/The Nest Podcast. And you can find all their outlets, social media outlets, content outlets, everything there, including their latest episode. And also the Rip Griffin Show. What can you tell us about the Rip Griffin Show, Craig?
Well, if you're a baseball fan, the Rip Griffin Show is the show for you. That's really a lot of fun. Rip and Brad talking baseball each and every week. They go live here on Facebook as well, so be on the lookout for that. You can find Rip Griffin Show at Podcast City Network. It's podcastcity.net/Rip Griffin Show. You can check out all their previous episodes. You can find all their social media and everything there for all your baseball-related news. They have a lot of really cool. Interviews that they do on that show. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch that. They're every Monday night, I believe.
Yes,
I could be incorrect on that, but they're every Monday night, so check it out. Tomorrow night, they're going to have a brand new episode. We will be sure to share it here through Final Score as well, so check that out. Go give them a like. If you like baseball, they're great guys. They know their stuff. They're both baseball writers through the Baseball Writers of America, so check them out. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, as well as Fixed Edge, which formerly was Double Dime, has now rebranded to be Fixed Edge. They just dropped their newest episode 14, yesterday on YouTube. So definitely make sure to go on to YouTube and search Fixed Edge Investing and be able to go on there and subscribe and check out all the great content they have on. And they will be now going live every Saturday for the foreseeable future, unless announcements are made. And, I guess I can't just say, them. I guess it is now me and S Money right now. So you can definitely check us out and all the great stuff that we're talking about over there. I can't be the rock about it. I can't just talk in the third person. So, but
you're just everywhere, man. You're on this show. You're on that show. You've been on your alter ego Chris Carnage has been on Everett Lee's show lately. Like,
oh yeah,
everywhere.
And a little tittle biddle out there at the Chris Carnage show is returning. So hey, all kinds of crazy stuff happens, man. All kinds of crazy stuff happens. So we'll definitely see how it all works out. But another thing that's going to be happening is our March for episode 100. Next week we have episode 97 live at 10 a.m. Eastern here on Facebook Live. So definitely make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and check mark for the notifications so you don't miss out, because we are only 3 episodes away now from episode 100, man. 100 episodes. That's so crazy to say.
Yeah, it's been a long road. It's been a long road to get to 100. I mean, looking at our setup, if you go on YouTube and you look at some of our first episodes that we did, man, we've come a long way.
Yeah, we have.
We've come a long way.
We definitely have, but you can still help us make that march forward by helping us, by following us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. As you see, we do still have the goals above us. We are making headway, but help us try and close that gap. And you can do that by going and liking and sharing, inviting your friends, and go ahead, hit the like and hit the share button on this post that you're looking at right now. That just doing that simple action helps get us out there more. That way more people can see Final Score and help us grow this even more. And like we said, we got a lot of stuff in store. We've come a long way and we still have a long way to go, but be a part of the journey with us. We love it. So, but sadly, that does bring us to the end of our episode. We'll definitely be able to see you guys next week, as we'll probably be talking about the All-Star game that will be tonight at 8 p.m. live on TNT, as well as the conference championship tournaments for the NCAA, among many other subjects. But until then, I'm Chris, and that's Craig, and you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.